Tonight's Glenn Beck is brought to you by the Tourism Board of Cuba, reminding you that Castro's almost dead, and they really need your money.
Hey everybody, I'm Bill Handel in for Glenn Beck, who happens to be off sitting with his sick friend, Fidel Castro, for a first-hand account of what it's like on the streets of Jerusalem. I'm pleased to be able to be joined by Middle East analyst and a very good friend, David Gilbert, who lives in Israel. David, the Jewish people are no strangers to war. Now, what sense are you getting of how people there are feeling about this particular conflict?
Well, Handel, it's good to see you. I think the way to describe the feeling here in Jerusalem and throughout Israel is a feeling of defiance, that the Israeli people very much think that this is a war that they have to fight. It's been thrust upon them, and they feel like they're going to win it. Now, it's interesting, it's sort of a parallel reality. Here in Jerusalem, you could almost think that there wasn't a conflict going on. Life goes on as normal. However, if you go about 2 hours north, 3 hours north, up to Haifa and other areas in the north, you could see people in bomb shelters and people very much off the streets and very much a ghost town sort of a feeling. Although today, I should say, for the first time in a while, the people in Haifa were actually out of their bomb shelters, Bill.
Yeah, let's talk for a moment about the philosophy this time around with Israelis. Usually the wars are very quick. 6-day war, the Yom Kippur War. This is now 3 weeks. It could go on for another 2, 3, 4 more weeks. How are the Israelis dealing with that?
Well, Bill, you're right. I think many Israelis have come to expect a quick, crushing victory, the likes of perhaps the 1991 Gulf Wars, the American parallel, where we just sort of went in there, did the job very quickly, and got out of Dodge. The 6-day war is probably the example for the Israelis. This is not going to be like that. Many military analysts are saying, look, this is a war against a guerrilla group, which can very easily melt into the surrounding areas and can hide out for years and years and years. We've seen the similar example in Iraq, where the army sort of evaporated and has been fighting the American troops for the last 3 years. The real sense among many Israeli analysts is that ultimately this war is going to go on for a while. The Israelis are going to try to end it as quickly as possible. They're going to fight. They're going to send an awful lot of armed troops into southern Lebanon. But ultimately, you're right. It's not going to be an easy one to win.
David, you've lived there for, what, 6 years now. What's it like for you living there? I mean, you go to the north, you have friends that have been victims of Katyusha rockets, bomb shelters. Tell us a little bit about that.
It can be challenging, there's no doubt. Overall, I think it's terrific to be here, but I'll tell you a couple stories. I got a call from a woman who lives in the northern town of Sfat, and we were talking about this and that and the other thing. She wanted to know what the media coverage was like in terms of the conflict in the north, and I was explaining it to her. In the middle of the conversation, she very nonchalantly says to me, you know, by the way, a Katyusha rocket hit my apartment, direct hit, leveled everything. It didn't seem to affect her in a very real sense. Most people would have gone running and moved out of the country immediately. She was very defiant, feeling that if anybody's going to leave their homes, it's going to be the terrorists. Other people in Haifa, I've met with the mayor of Haifa in particular, and as I was speaking with him, he was telling me how Haifa is a town of Arabs and Jews living together and how it's a town of coexistence. And just as he was saying it, not 10 seconds went by before there was an air raid siren, incoming Katyusha rockets. We had to take cover in the bomb shelter. So these are stories that happen day to day. People in Haifa in bomb shelters with their little kids. People, I mean, the kids basically after 2 weeks in bomb shelters, they're going stir crazy. How many times can you play Monopoly? How many times can you play cards? The parents are beside themselves in terms of what are they going to do with these kids, Bill?
David, we'll talk again. I talk to David every day on the radio show, so we'll probably no doubt talk tomorrow. David Gilbert.